Hello everyone, welcome back. So till now we have seen how can we do the ODBC connectivity and perform the database operation, and we have seen also the use of pass-through function. Later we have seen how can we use the procedure and function to make the code more readability and reusability. In this lecture we are going to learn about the Subflow in ESQL, and we will also see how basically library works. So when talking about the subflow, there are some basic definitions I have written here. So first I will try to do some theory type of thing, and then I will be going to the toolkit and show you. Okay. So we define a subflow to provide a common sequence of action to be used by several message flow applications and the integration services. Suppose there is a one generic thing that we are using with many message flow, or there are common sequence of some work that we want to use with the many message flow, then we can create a subflow and use them. Okay, so let's directly go to the subflow and let's explore the subflow. When you will go to toolkit, okay, go to file, new. I will be parallelly telling you what this definition what I have written here. So it will be best if I will explain you using toolkit and later explain the theory. So you can go to file, new, and the here you can see there is an option called subflow. Just click on that. Once you click on that, here it will ask you to select the container. If there will be any application already created, so either you can select the application from here or integration project from here. If there is no application or integration currently, because this is the toolkit I have created from the scratch, so there is no application currently created, there is no test project created, so integration project created. So I will if you want to create from a scratch, then you can click on new. Once you click on new, it will ask you to choose a container to create. So, subflow we can use in three way. We can use subflow with application, we can use subflow with library, we can use subflow with integration project. So we can create a subflow inside application, inside a library, or inside a integration project, and we can use them. So same thing I have written here. We can develop the subflow in many way. Either we can create a subflow inside application, either we can create subflow inside library, or we can create application inside the project. So there are three container we can choose for creating the subflow. So we are going to see one of them, each one of them. First I will be showing you the how can we create a subflow and use a subflow when we are selecting application as a container. Second, after that we are going to see how basically we can use the subflow when we are selecting the integration project as a container. How can we use the subflow when we are selecting the library as a container, and later I will be showing you how basically library is helpful for us and what's the difference between creating a subflow under the application and creating a subflow under the library. Okay, so in this way we can explore the thing. Okay, so if anyone tell you ki how what are the possible ways you can create a subflow, So you can say that we can create a subflow inside application, inside a library, or inside a integration project. So let's first start creating a subflow when we are selecting application as a container. So yes, I am selecting application and click on OK. It will ask you to give a application name that you want to create. Okay. So suppose let me create a application name as a subflow test app. Let me like that test app. Okay, that's fine. And let me give here subflow name. So let me like the test app subflow. Okay, and just click on finish. So you can see under the test app a subflow has been created, and under that you can see there is a file with the test app subflow with dot subflow extension. So if anyone asks you what is the extension for the subflow, so extension for the subflow is dot subflow, while the extension for the main message flow is dot msg flow. So there is a difference. Extension for the message flow is dot msg flow. Extension for the subflow is uh, dot what is it? Dot subflow. Okay, if you see here in the template under the toolbox, there is also option of subflow. When you will expand this, you will see there are two things: input and output. It is saying that input provides as in terminal for embedded message flow, and output provides an out terminal for the embedded message flow. Okay, so it is just like a input in, and it is just like a out from a particular node. So either if you want to directly drag and drop, if you want to use more input terminal, then you can drag from here, and if you want to use more output terminal, you can drag from here. Okay, but initially when you create a subflow, it will give you one input terminal and one output terminal. Later if you want to use the more input terminal and more output terminal, you can drag from here, and you can drag and drop from here, or you can do like that, you can add node and input like that. So it will also give option, and you can select from here. Okay, so that is also fine. Okay, but currently I don't want to use more than one input, so that's the reason I have selected the only one. So that is fine for me. Okay, and there you, if you want to select if you want to select both, then you can do like that, and it will select everything, and you can move like that. So that's the thing you need to know. Okay, so that is one thing. There is one more thing you need to remember. If you directly connect the input terminal to output terminal, so it will give a error, because this is not, this is it will say like that. If you go to problem tab, it will give the pass through connection are not permitted. So subflow is not intended to make a pass through combination. It is intended to make a some flow like where we can do some transformation or mapping. It is especially made for that. So let's use the compute node, or let me use the database nodes too, so that I can do perform some database operations. Okay, so let me select the database node instead of compute node. Okay, and let me connect this database node here, and let me connect this to out. Okay, and if I will go further, okay, now it's fine. So now this is a small subflow I have created. So how can we use the subflow inside application? Let's understand. Currently you can know this is the application. Under application we have created a subflow. Further, if you want to create one more subflow, you can do like that. You can just write earlier what I did. Earlier I click on new and the subflow, it basically given me either a select any container from here. Either I can do like that, I can write here subflow. Either you can create, again click on new, and either you can select application as a container or library as a container or integration project as a container, and you can create from a scratch, and you can give application name or library name or project name. Okay, either you can select the existing container. Here we have the only one container as application. You can give the subflow name, and it will create a subflow under that. Okay, either you can do like that. There is one way, other way. Either you can right click on application and click on new and just click on subflow. So it will land to that project, that what I said, it will land to that page only. So again it is landing to that page itself, and you can give here the subflow name. Suppose I want to give the test app 1 subflow. Okay, I just given here the name. Again it will come with the one input node and one output node, and you can add some database node or any node you, if you want to do whatever operation you want to perform, you can add here. Okay, it is up to you what you want to perform. Okay, so I have created two subflow. Now if you want to create a message flow under this application, similarly you can do new message flow. It will give you a option to create a message flow. Here you can see it is asking to give the message flow name. So let me give the message flow name like the test app main flow. Just click on finish. You can see a message flow has been created, and the extension for this is the .msg flow. You can see, correct? Now, so we have created one message flow and two subflow. And in subflow, I have used the basic thing like that. I have already input terminal and output terminal there, and I used the one database node. And further, I have used for this subflow also, I have used one database node. Okay. And if you go to the input terminal properties, you can see there is no option. It is just like that, input and output. So there is no value need to set in the input output. Okay, it is just sent in. It is just used to send the input message to terminal, and it is just used to make the message out of terminal. Okay. Okay. So we have created one input, one message flow, and two subflow. An extension is dot subflow for extension, dot subflow for the subflow, and dot msg flow for message flow. Let's consider a situation. I want to perform some database operation with the orders table to perform to check the insert the data and to select the value. Okay, so how can we perform these all thing? Okay, so let's understand the thing. So let me do the query tool. Okay, and if you will select the table, sorry, you can see order table having 21 row. And if I want to fetch the information or insert the more value, so for that how can we perform, how can we do? We have seen that we can do similar like that. We can add the mq node. Just let me do mq input node and mq output node. Okay, and in between we have seen that we can use the either compute node. If we can use the compute node, and after here I can write the some code to do some transformation. right? We have seen this thing. Or we have seen that we can use the uh, database node. We can use the database node instead of compute node. Instead of compute node, we can use the database node, okay, to perform the operations. But how can we use the subflow? Suppose I don't want to use this. I want to implement using the subflow to look the code more readable. Okay, we can use. Okay, so don't need to worry. Let me make here the queue name as a test 12.in for input and test 12.out as a output, and in input let me select this as a parsing option as a XML NAC, and the parsing option as a complete. So that's fine. Now suppose I want to this subflow to perform insert operation, and this subflow to perform select operation. Okay, so how can we use this? Okay, so in this message flow, first I want to perform the insert, then select. Okay, so we can use the same thing, that's not a problem. First go to subflow where we want to perform the insert operation. So let me just rename this one, and let me here write like that, insert database. Okay, so I'm just renaming it like that. Okay, so it is used to insert into database. Okay, and here we can provide the data source name. To data source name is the is ds, sorry, is node data ds. And further, if we can write here some code to insert into database. So suppose what are the code earlier, I am just copying that information. Let me copy the same information that we have written earlier. For inserting we have this code, so let me copy this thing and paste into here. Okay, and I after inserting, so this is the something I have written for the inserting into database. Okay, now so this flow has been completed for the database insertion. Now suppose I want to use the subflow one for select operation. So I can mention here something like that. You can, for the better readability, select database, and here I can mention the ODBC data source name as the ACE node DS. Okay, and here I can write the some query to select the value. So to select what is the syntax, so I can use this one, that will be better for me. Okay, I want to print this also to output. Okay, so that will basically help me to select the value from the table and send me to output. Okay, now how can we use this one? To use the subflow in main flow, to use the subflow to the main flow, it act as a user defined node. Same thing I have written here. You can include the subflow in your message flow in same way as you include the built-in node or user defined node. So when we use this subflow in the main flow, it act as a user defined node. So for that, what you have to do, just click on drag and drop. Similarly, drag and drop. Okay, so it will act like that. Dragging and dropping is just like that. Now if you want to make it more arrangement, you can do like that. First, this is for insert. So let me do first insert, then let me do after that select, and let me do the output. Okay, so I can make like that. Now my flow has been completed. Now see how it is looking good. Okay. Okay, so now it is looking more readable. And further, if you want to rename like that, you can rename like that. Suppose I want to rename like that, insert operation. And if I want to rename this like that as a select operation. Okay, so this will tell me more information that this is used for inserting, this is used for selecting value. Okay, now further you can test the flow if you want. So how basically it is looking, that you must try to understand. You can see, if you see, this flow has one input node and this output node. Okay, so what is mean by this input and output? This input is not nothing when this input is this input, and this output is this output. So if I will delete this, suppose if I will delete this, you can see, if I will save this, you can see in this message flow, if I will, let me delete this one, you can see now it is only one output is showing. So it means that, just 1 minute, you can see currently this message flow has only one input and no output. So it will, when you will use it to the main flow, it has the only input terminal, no output terminal. When I will delete this also, suppose I will delete input terminal also and save the flow, you can see in the message flow here there is no input, no output. So if you want to, whatever the message coming to in from input node, if you want to send this to the subflow, then we have to mention here the input. So if I will use as a input sub from here, suppose I want to use a input. So if I will combine this to here, you can see the now input terminal here it is showing. It means now with the help of this input, we can take the input message to the subflow. So with the help of input terminal, we take the message, we take the input message to the subflow. We send the input message to subflow. Okay. So similarly, if I will connect here, it means now my input message, once I will send a message to the MQ input, once the message will came to MQ input, it will came here. After that it will go to this input queue, and from here it will go to this input and it will flow through this subflow. Further, if you want to send the message to the output also, then you have to mention the output queue. Further, if you don't want to send to output, you can leave it blank. Okay, so similarly I can use from this template subflow and I can add this one. After adding, you can see what is showing here. After adding to output, you can see there is output option is showing. It means that whatever the result coming from this subflow, if you want the information to flow outside, then you can use the output terminal. Okay, so input terminal is used to send the information to input to subflow for the further transformation or applying the logic, and whatever the result coming uh, from the transformation logic, whatever the operation happen into subflow, if you want the information to flow back to the main flow, then you can use the output terminal. So if I will say in other word, when you want to send the information from main flow to when you want to input the information from main flow to subflow, we use the input terminal. Further, when we want to send the message information from the subflow to the main flow, we use the output terminal. Similarly, you can see here what I am doing here. I am from main flow, I want to send the message to the input terminal to the subflow. That's in I am using the input terminal. And here I want to send the message to outside the main flow from the subflow. That's reason I am using the output terminal. The input terminal is used to take the message inside the subflow from the main flow. Output terminal is used to send the message information from the subflow to the main flow. Okay. Similarly, for this also you can see for this also we have the input terminal and the output terminal. Input terminal is used, whatever the result coming from here, we are taking to this subflow with the help of this input terminal, and further we are performing the select operation, and what are the result coming from this select operation, we are just using the output terminal to send the message to this terminal, and further from here we are taking to this output queue. Okay, so that's about the subflow and how we are using the subflow. That is all about. Okay, now let's test this subflow. Before testing this subflow, let me create the queue that I have, because this queue is currently not present, so let me create the queue. So to create the queue, let me do this queue finish, and let me do okay. So I have created the queue till 12 dot in and 12 dot out. Okay, now let me build and save the bar file, and let me test the flow. So where is the bar file? Okay, Subflow, select the application, build and save the bar file. Now let me deploy the bar file. If you see here, if I open the bar file, and if you see here in manage tab, you can see under the test application we have the subflow 1, subflow 2, and we have the main flow also. We have the main flow when we have the one test app, one subflow, test app subflow, and test app main flow. Okay, so everything is we have packaged under the bar file that we have created here. Okay, now let me deploy the bar file. Okay, deployment, it is saying unsuccessful. Okay, okay, got it. Here I have used the output route, but database does not use the output route, so I cannot use database node here. So better to have, let me use the compute node, because database node does not support output route or input route. So it can only access the information with the help of a route. So that's reason we cannot use the database node for the select operation. So if you want to send the information from the accessing the information from the table to output, so let's me use the compute node, better to have. Okay, and let me again clear this, and let me just, okay, now that's fine, it is done. Now let me, before that, let me do one more task. Let me use the data source name as a s node ds. Okay, now it is done. Now let me again build and save the bar file and deploy it and deploy it. Okay, still it is giving the error. What error is giving? Okay, not sure it is saved up properly or not. Let me do one thing. Let me first delete this thing. I will check everything. Let me delete this bar file also. Okay, where is the bar file? Where is the delete option? I'm not seeing delete option. Okay, anyway, let me do one more thing. Let me first check. Here is we are using database node. Here I am performing only insert operation, so that is fine. And here, okay, here I am also you need to use the root. Okay, that one need to remember. Okay, now that's fine. You can see, because we cannot use the input root to access the information. To access the information, we need to use the root. Okay, so test subflow, that is fine. Test subflow, we are using the for loop with the order reference and referring to the order. With the help of root, I am accessing the information from the this order tree. Okay, order input message, and further I'm doing insert operation and sending to return to. That's fine. Now further, after that I am using the select operation. In select operation I am performing the using compute node, and I am using to send output. That is also fine, good. Now further, in the mq output I'm sending to q. That is also good. Okay, so now that's fine. Now let me try it. Build and save the bar file, and let me try to deploy this time again. Okay, still error is giving. Why it is saying that output root is not filled? Because I have removed the output root, but still it is saying output root. Not sure what is happening. Let me do one thing. Let me do one thing. Let me just 1 minute. Let me delete this thing. Let me first delete the bar file, and let me create from scratch bar file. Okay, let me select this thing. Let me select the application. Let me build and save the bar file. Okay, done. Now bar file is created. Let me first delete this, and let me again deploy it. Still giving the error. Request to application failed. The correlation name output router. I am not using Subflow. Still, I'm not using the output route, but not sure why it is taking this output route information. That's the not acceptable. Okay, not sure why it is taking output route. Let me do one thing. Let me do something. Create field output route dot xml dot order detail declare outref reference to reference to input root reference to output root dot order detail, and just replace this with the outref. Okay, so what I'm doing, create field output to documentation order detail, declare outref with this, set outref with this. Okay, now that's fine. Let's try this time again. Build and save the bar file, and still not sure what's wrong is happening. There is something wrong. Okay, let me see what's the wrong is happening. So not sure what was the problem, but system has taken this code by in their background, and every time it was when I am trying to redeploy this code, is coming and it is giving the error. So what I did, I just deleted the application from the application and recreated it. So I created application with the same name, test app. Under that I created a message flow. I have used the MQ input, and same use the queue name, that's test12.in. MQ parsing I selected as XMLNSC, and I selected the parsing timing as a complete. Further in MQ output I selected as a test12.out. Further I created a subflow, similar subflow, test app subflow, and in subflow I use the database node, and in database node I use the applied the for loop to perform the insert operation. Okay, and here I have used the root, so to so that instead of input root, so as it is a database root and it does not know the input root, so I have applied root to fetch the information from the input message. Further, whatever the information coming to output, I am sending this output information to the test app subflow, and then again this subflow is similar. I am using compute node to perform the uh, select the value from database and send to the output with the help of output root. So I have just written the output root in the compute mode, and this is the compute node, and I will be using to refer this flow. So you can see the test flow is the flow that I am using to database insertion, and the test flow one is the flow that I am using for the selecting the from the. Okay, now let me do one thing, let me add a breakpoint so that I can see how basically it is going under the subflow. So it will be best to see the how basically it is going. You can see it is going inside the subflow. So let me add a breakpoint here. I will be also showing you how basically we can make this flow more readable than this, like that. Okay, so you don't need to worry about that. So my flow has been completed, and what this flow is doing, this flow is taking message from the input queue test12.in in the format of XML. This is going to, once the message is coming from this input queue, it is going to the subflow. It is flowing through the subflow input terminal. It is going to database node, doing the insert into database. Further, it is moving outside and flowing to output terminal. Further, from output terminal, it is going here, and it is flowing to the next subflow. In this subflow, further, it with the help of input message, input terminal, it is following to this compute node. It is selecting the value from the table, in data from the table, and with the help of output, it is going to this out terminal. With the help of output, it is going to this out terminal and following to MQ output. Okay, Now let me build and save the bar file, and let me uh, deploy it. Okay, so let me just write like the Subflow test app, and let me click on finish. Let me select the application, let me build and save the bar file, and let me deploy the bar file. Okay, you can see deployment has been completed successfully. Now let me do one thing. Now let me hit the flow. For that, let me select the input message. Before that, let me select the queue, load the name. So the queue is the test 12.in. 12.in. Let me select the input message, the order XML. So I have selected this in as an input message. Okay. Now just click on write. Flow has been executed. Okay, but I have not launched the debugger. That's the reason I am not able to see. So let me launch the debugger. So it should be completed, but you can see if I will do here, you can see total row is 26, and you will see message in output also. If you will browse the 12, just 1 minute. If you will browse the test 12.out, you can see there is one message in output, and it is the combination of all the 21 records. Okay, now let me, debugger is launched. Let me again hit the flow executed. Okay, it came here. So message has been sent to MQ input terminal, and it came here. Further, once I will click on next step over, it will go inside the subflow. You can see it go inside the subflow. It came here under the subflow. Further, if you go inside the database, it will go inside the database, and you can see here it will perform the all insert operation. You can see all insert operation has been completed successfully, but still if you see here 26 row is showing. Once the flow will complete, it will update with the 5 more records. It will be 31. So let's move outside. Okay, so flow is came till here MQ output terminal. Once it will flow from output terminal, it will go outside the output terminal to the main flow. Now you can see from output terminal it came to the main flow. Okay, from main flow again it will enter to the next subflow. With the help of input terminal, it will go to this test app one subflow, from main flow to the subflow. You can see again it goes to the test app one subflow from input terminal, and further it will go inside the compute node, and it will select the value from the table. You can see in the output under the XML NSC, under the order XML, you can see all 26 record is showing, around 31 record is showing. Okay, so if I will move further forward outside, you can see it came here, and from this out terminal it will again go to the main flow, to the MQ for the MQ output. You can see again it came here for the MQ output, and from here message written to the MQ output, and you can see the same thing. If I will browse the queue, you can see the same information. All the information are there, and if you see here also, you can see 31 record is now there. So table has been updated with 5 more record. Okay, so in this way we can use the subflow. Okay, if you want to make this flow more readable, more looking good, so you can use there is also, if you go here in the routing flow, there is called the flow order. So you can use the flow order. I will be explaining this routing later, when we will learn the node thing. But for now I want to show you how basically routing works, and that will be good. Okay, so you can do one thing. Suppose I can use the flow order here, and I can use this one here and this one here. Okay, I can send this to here. This is the first terminal and this is the second terminal. Okay, so as you know that we are here, we are performing only the insert operation. So here we don't want to send anything to output. So what we can do, we in the main flow we can not we can remove the output because it is not required. So let me delete the output from here also. So I have deleted the output. Now there is no need to output. Okay, so it is just like that. So I just use the mq input node. After that I use the flow order. Flow order just help us to send the input message in flow. So first it will send the input message to here, and after that it will send the input message to here. The flow order is a node that help us to send the input message in the order. You can see here first and second area. So it will send the first message here, and after that it will send the message second message here. Okay, now so once message came here, it will first flow here, and here once it will go, it will whatever the input message, whatever the input, once it will go here, whatever the with the help of input, it will take the message from the input from the flow order. It will take message from here with the help of this input, and it will go to database and perform the insert operation. And further we don't need to output, so I'm just removing the output. Okay, in sub from some flow. Further if you see here, I'm just using the flow order. Whatever the information following through the flow order, with the help of input I'm just using the compute node, sending to compute node. Further I am selecting information from the table, and I need to send it to the output. That's the reason I have selected the output. With the help of output it will flow to the this out terminal. Okay, so now let's see this time how basically it will work. Let me add the breakpoint also. Now let me build and save the bar file and redeploy it. Okay, now it has been deployed successfully. Now let me hit the flow. Flow executed success. Okay, now you can see currently when we send the message came to mq input. It came here. With the help of flow order we will send message first here. We will perform this operation again. It will came here, and we will perform the second operation. Okay, so you can see message first came here. Okay, now it will go to the this subflow. In this subflow we have the input terminal to take this message as an input. Okay, so once the message came from mq input, it will go to the flow order. From flow order it will flow in order. The first it will go to the first terminal, after that it will go to the second terminal. Okay, now when it is in the here, you can see currently the message is in the transit state and it is here. So to, and after that it will flow through the subflow. Okay, in subflow you can see we have the input terminal and the database node. With the help of input terminal it will take the input message from the main flow, and it will perform the database operation. And after that we don't want to send the message in output, so uh, it will just terminate the flow, and it will not move forward from this subflow. Okay, so it will not came from this subflow, it will not came back to main flow. Okay, because there is no need to be for send message to output. Okay, so let me go further. You can see it came to this here, and after that we will perform the database operations. You can see I have inserted first row, inserted second, inserted third, inserted fourth, inserted fifth, inserted. So all row has been inserted. Now it will came out of this. You can see it directly came here, because after that there was no output, so we have not any message to output, so it directly came to second. It directly came to second subflow. In second subflow, if you see, we have the input terminal and we have the output terminal. With the help of input terminal, we will take the this message to input to the subflow. So with the help of input terminal, we can take the message from main flow to the subflow, and with the help of output terminal, we can send a message from the subflow to the main flow. Okay, so you can see here, once I will move forward, you can see with the help of input terminal, we have taken a message to this subflow. Further, we will go inside the compute node and we will perform the select operation. Whatever the result came, it will go inside output. Further, with the help of output terminal, we will send this message to the main flow, back to main flow. You can see it came back to main flow to the out terminal of this. Okay, and from here we will send to the compute node. But before that, if you browse here, you can see currently 31 record is there. Once the flow will complete, it will updated with 5 more record. You can see it has been recorded, and now it just, you can see here currently 36 record is there, right? 36 record is there. Now 36 row is there, and you can browse the output queue also. You can see there are 36 row is showing in this. Okay, now this is how Subflow works. Now let's learn few more point about the Subflow. Suppose currently this is the Subflow, and if you want to convert the Subflow to the main flow, we have an option. If you click on convert to message flow, it will be converted to the message flow. Okay, so okay, so just we have to give the extension like that, msg. Okay, so this Subflow test app 1 will be converted to message flow. You can see it has converted to message flow. Okay, now if you want to convert this message flow back to Subflow, you can do similar like that. It will be converted to Subflow. Okay, so that's very simple. So with the help of right clicking that, you can convert the message flow to Subflow and Subflow to message flow. So this is required. Suppose in case somehow what will happen, somehow what I can say, that somehow flow I have created, that is the actually actually not the not the exact that we required. Okay, so in that case we can convert it to back to the Subflow, and we can convert back to the main flow. Okay, so we created a flow that is the main message flow, but we want this to use as a Subflow, that we can convert this to Subflow. And if we converted a message flow, and if we want to use a Subflow, then we can convert back to the Subflow. Okay, so that's the thing we can do like that. Just let me delete, and again let me just drag and drop. Okay, so it will work. So in this way Subflow works. Okay, now the error coming. Okay, anyway, so this is all about the how the Subflow works. Okay, now let's go to the definition, and let's cover the all the definition what I have written here. Okay, suppose here we have seen, here it is written that we define a Subflow to provide a common sequence of actions to be used by the several message flow. You can see we are just creating a Subflow, and this can be used any number of time. If you want to use again, you can use it. There will be no problem. Okay, Point number one, uh, use for the message flow application or integration services. You can include Subflow in your message flow in same way as we include in build in node or user in defined node. You can see here what I am doing here. Here I am using this Subflows. What I am doing, I am just dragging and dropping it, and I am using this Subflow as a node. Okay, so this is sometime it is called as a user defined node. Okay, so we use the Subflow as a node, and we call this sometime as a user defined node. Okay, okay, so this is one thing you need to remember. So we can use the Subflow as a user defined node, because this is now this is looking like a node. So it, and this under that we can write any type of code, and we can use like a node. Okay, so that's it is called as a user defined node. Okay, now we define a subflow once and use it more than one message flow application, integration service, or integration project. That's the thing. We can develop a subflow in many way. This is the first way I have shown you, and there are another two way. We can use the subflow with library, and we can use the subflow with integration project. I will be showing you integration project first, and then I will be showing you the how can we use the subflow with library. Okay, now coming to the integration, now coming to the first thing, we can create a subflow inside application and use with the main flow as a user defined nodes. That's the same thing I'm doing. I am creating a subflow, and I am using it with the, just delete this thing. Okay, so what I am doing, I'm just creating a subflow, and I am using this subflow as a user defined node. You can see I'm using this as like a node. Okay, so that's the thing it is written here. So we can create a subflow that is a part of dot message flow and reference the subflow to the main flow. While referencing the subflow to the main flow, it is used like a node and with input and output terminal. That's why it is called a user defined node. The same thing what I have told you. Okay. So if I say in simple word, subflow is a flow that provide a common sequence of action to be used by several message flow applications or services. We can use the subflow with the main flow as a user defined node or as a node. So what we can do, we already told you कि we can create a subflow in the three ways. First way, we can create the subflow as a container under the application. We can create a subflow when we when application is as a container, when the library is as a container, and we inside the integration project when integration project is a container. Okay, so this is the first case we are seeing where the application is acting as a container, and we are creating the subflow inside that. Okay, now the second way is we can create a project under the as a independent